welcome back to Ranger Life. And so today I am going to be swapping the oil pan and oil pickup over. Really all I need from this block is the oil pickup tube, and I have a new pan because this one leaks. I think at some point some tech probably over tightened this oil plug and the drain plug, and like this pan is no good because this is aluminum, so it's very don't need to torque them that hard. So basically I'm just gonna be taking this guy off, and I've got it kind of precariously hanging by this thing. So hopefully that'll work, and then I'll have to do the same for this guy over here and just swap some parts over. Alright, so there's the oil pan off, and here's the oil pan, and looking inside it, obviously there's zero oil because it all leaked out, and it's actually not that bad. There's some metal, you know, this gray stuff is metal shavings, basically like dust, and it's not that bad. There's some chunks of something in here, like flakes it looks like, so that's probably the bad bearing that's failing. It just spun around inside the crank. It was holding the crank in, and just spun around and is probably, you know, breaking apart. But here's the oil pickup tube. It looks like there's just 4 bolts. They look like 8s maybe. Can you guys see that? Yeah, that I need to take out. And then this tube right here will just be transferred over. I don't think I need to transfer anything else. So let me get this guy out and then start opening up this guy on this side. So here's the oil pickup tube out. Pretty easy, just 4 bolts, comes right out. There's some chunks of metal on the screen, which is probably from that bearing, like I said, going bad. But it's not that bad. Let's see what we can see in here. Hopefully this thing doesn't fall though. I'm a little sketched out by just being held by that one hook, but just looking up in here, like, I don't really see anything out of the ordinary. Alright, so a couple knocks with the hammer and it came right out. But it looks like there's no gasket. There's no oil pan gasket. It's all RTV. So I'm going to have to scrape a lot of this RTV off and re-seal it with RTV. As you can see here, this is the balance shaft. It basically, I guess it just makes the engine less rough or something. Like, it just smooths out some of the vibrations of it. But it's 19 pounds apparently, so I'm just gonna remove it. And if you're wondering why I didn't flip the engine around, it's because the pin here, the locking pin, is stuck, and I think it's because the engine's pretty heavy. And so this is actually, I would have to lift the engine up in order to take this out, which isn't that much work, but it is extra work. So I might regret that. I probably should flip it around because it'd be easier to get this, you know, 20-pound thing off instead of doing it upside down. But it's not that big of a deal. Here's the oil pickup tube. I just need to replace that with the Ranger one over here. But in order to do that, it looks like I actually need to get rid of the balance shaft. So I do have a balance shaft delete kit, so I'm gonna look at the directions for that and see what exactly I have to do. But yeah. Alright, so here is the balance shaft delete kit from Massive, and it looks like it's just like a little plate and a plug and a bolt. That this picture is not very good, but apparently according to the instructions, basically there is an oil passage when you remove the balance shaft thingy assembly, and you just need to plug that oil passage up. Alright, so there's the balance shaft thingy. It's just like a hunk of metal with a gear that spins these two things around, and I guess it's like it's like a balancer or something, I guess. I mean, I think it's pretty heavy for what it is and what it does. It seems kind of unnecessary. And the other thing I noticed is that the oil pickup tube for the Ranger actually doesn't fit on this Fusion engine. Can you see that? Yeah. So it's a little off. I mean, the holes exist for the screws, but it's not like a perfect fit. Basically, like on the Ranger engine, you just, you know, set it up there and it fits. And I think the oil pickup, the bolts for it are actually narrower on the pickup tube than they are on the actual outlet. So I think here, like if you look at, if I line them up, the thread, I don't think it would thread. And the reason why I don't think it'll thread is because on the Ranger block, I tried installing the pickup tube for the Fusion on here, and the threads don't match. It's off by a little bit. It's a little bit, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's not, it's a little off by like a quarter of an inch or something. So the pickup tube on the Fusion is a quarter of an inch wider than the one on the Ranger. I'm not sure that that plug went in correctly. I'm hoping that it did. It's kind of impossible to do it without doing them both at the same time. And so I kind of threaded this guy, the bolt, in, and then sort of guided that plug into the hole. I tried putting the plug in by itself, and it actually goes in like a very specific way. And so I'm hoping that I didn't like crush anything and it's actually in there good, but that's pretty much as good as it's gonna get. But that oil passage is plugged and this is done, other than the oil pickup tube, which I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. Alright, well, I got the Ranger pickup on there. I sort of forced it on. It was a little tight, but I got the two bolts that hold it in started, one on each side, and just sort of tightened, you know, one side at a time, just, you know, going back and forth until it tightened down, and it's on there. This bolt hole lined up, so I got the bolt on there, but this one does not line up at all. And so this bracket thingy, I guess I could cut it off, because really if it's held in two places, that's plenty strong enough. It doesn't really need a third, you know, mounting point. But it doesn't look like this bracket will get in the way of anything. So as long as it doesn't like basically break off in there, and even if it does, it'll just fall into the pan. And I mean, this is welded on here, so it might cause some noise, like some, you know, some rattling, basically, because it's metal on metal. And I guess it could wear there, but I think I'm just gonna leave it like that. It's not really, you know, because this bolt hole doesn't line up at all. The next video is going to be moving on to the timing cover and, you know, swapping all the accessory stuff over, and maybe even replacing that cam gear or the cam lobe itself. But I guess we'll look at that when we get to it. But we're almost there, guys. So yeah, thanks for watching.